The words landed in the courtroom before the clerk had even finished calling the case. "My dad can buy you." Aiden Victor Roth, 18 years old, delivered them with the careless ease of someone ordering a drink he expected to receive. There was no anger in his voice, no attempt at menace, just boredom, as if power were a fact of life like gravity, and this was simply how conversations worked. Judge Frank Caprio stopped writing. The pen rested on the legal pad as he lifted his eyes, not in surprise but in measured disappointment. "Mr. Roth," he said calmly, "you are addressing a court of law. That statement is now part of the official record. Do you understand what that means?" Aiden leaned back slightly in his chair. "I understand my father owns half this city." Caprio's gaze didn't waver. "Your father owns property," he replied. "He does not own this bench. Sit down." Aiden shrugged and complied, the motion loose, almost theatrical. Beside him, the attorney, immaculately dressed, clearly selected rather than hired, rose quickly. "Your Honor," the lawyer began, "my client is young and—" "Counselor," Caprio interrupted, his voice firm but even, "your client has already undermined the integrity of this proceeding. We will address that shortly. First," he turned to the clerk, "Miss Lewis, call the case." The clerk stood. "Case number 2025 TR47286, Commonwealth versus Aiden Victor Roth. Charges speeding 68 miles per hour in a posted 35-mile-per-hour school zone during active hours, reckless operation, and failure to obey a lawful order." The courtroom shifted subtly. 68 in a school zone carried weight. Caprio looked directly at Aiden. "Before we do anything else," he said dryly, "tell us where you're watching from and subscribe to order in the court, because this only gets more uncomfortable from here." Aiden smirked. His attorney tried again. "Your Honor, we're prepared to pay all applicable fines today and resolve the matter." Caprio shook his head. "This court is not a payment portal. Your client was clocked at nearly double the speed limit in an active school zone. We're reviewing the evidence." He gestured toward the aisle. "Officer Rodriguez, please take the stand." Officer Thomas Rodriguez stepped forward, raised his right hand, and was sworn in. He stood straight, uniform crisp, expression professional. "Officer Rodriguez," Caprio said, "please read your incident narrative into the record. On Tuesday, October 15th at approximately 8:47 a.m., I was conducting speed enforcement on Elmwood Avenue near Carver Elementary School. The school zone beacon was active and flashing, reducing the speed limit to 35 miles per hour. Using LiDAR, I clocked a black sports sedan traveling westbound at 68 miles per hour. The room was quiet except for his voice. I activated my lights and siren. The vehicle did not immediately stop and continued for approximately 2 blocks before pulling into a parking lot. Upon approach, I identified the driver as Aiden Roth. I requested license and registration. He stated, "Call my lawyer first." I advised him that was not how traffic stops work. He then stated, "Do you know who pays your salary?" I issued citations for speeding, reckless operation, and failure to obey. Caprio made a note. "You have dash cam and body cam footage of the stop." "Yes, Your Honor." "Play the body cam audio." Just the relevant exchange. A brief hiss of static filled the room, followed by Aiden's voice, sharp, dismissive, unmistakable. "Do you know who pays your salary?" The recording cut. Silence lingered. Caprio let it stretch before speaking. "Oh, Mr. Roth," he said, "did you make that statement to Officer Rodriguez?" Aiden nodded. "Yeah, so what? So context matters?" Caprio replied. "Officer Rodriguez was performing his lawful duties. You attempted to intimidate him by invoking financial authority. Speed is physics, not privilege." He turned to the clerk again. "Miss Lewis, were there any contacts made to this court regarding this case prior to today's hearing?" The clerk flipped through a logbook. "Yes. 2 incoming calls and 1 voicemail. All from a number registered to Roth Capital Group, legal counsel. Timestamps: first call at 9:23 a.m., second at 9:41 a.m. Voicemail left at 9:58 a.m. Caprio folded his hands. "Play the voicemail." A smooth, professional voice filled the courtroom. "This message is on behalf regarding case 2025 TR47286. We're confident this matter can be resolved efficiently and would appreciate a call back at your earliest convenience." The recording ended. Caprio looked at Aiden, then at the attorney. "Let me be clear," he said. "Calls like this do not help your case. They hurt it. This courtroom is not impressed by money, and it is not intimidated by names." He leaned forward slightly. "What concerns me is not just the speed. It's the mindset. A school zone is not a suggestion. It's a promise we make to children that adults will protect them. You broke that promise, and then you tried to buy your way out of accountability." Aiden's smirk was gone now. Caprio picked up his pen. We're going to talk about consequences. And we're going to talk about respect. Because one of those can be paid for, and the other cannot. The courtroom waited. We'd like to discuss a quiet resolution before the matter proceeds to hearing. Please return this call at your earliest convenience. The voicemail ends, its polished tone lingering in the air like perfume, pleasant, intentional, unmistakably expensive. The attorney rises immediately. Your Honor, my client is not responsible for calls made by his father's office. This is prejudicial. Overruled. Judge Caprio replies without hesitation. Pressure applied to process belongs on the record. I'm documenting facts, counselor, not speculating. He turns to the clerk. Miss Lewis, timeline the contacts. Yes, she consults her notes. Traffic stop occurred at 8:47 a.m. First call from Roth Capital Legal at 9:23 a.m. Caprio looks up. That's 36 minutes after the stop. His gaze settles on Aiden. Mr. Roth, did you contact your father after the stop? Aiden doesn't hesitate. I texted him. Caprio nods once. Miss Lewis, do we have that text in evidence? Yes, Your Honor. Screenshot submitted by Officer Rodriguez. Recovered during the stop with the defendant's consent. She reads carefully. Text from defendant to contact labeled Dad, timestamp 9:02 am. Message reads, got cited. Don't sweat it. Caprio reads the screen himself, then sets it down. Expectation of rescue is not a defense, Mr. Roth. He pauses. Miss Lewis, does the defendant have prior traffic citations? Yes, Your Honor. 3 prior speeding citations within the past 18 months. All marked resolved by counsel. No personal appearances by the defendant. Caprio turns back to Aiden. You've been cited 3 times in 18 months, and you've never personally appeared in court. My lawyer handles it. Aiden says. Your lawyer pays your fines? Caprio replies. That's not the same as accountability. He leans back slightly. Mr. Roth, do you understand why school zones exist? I guess. Aiden mutters. You guess. Caprio exhales softly. Officer Rodriguez, were children present at the time of the stop? The Honor, the officer answers. A crossing guard was posted. Approximately 20 students were crossing Elmwood Avenue at the time. The number lands heavily. Caprio fixes Aiden with a steady stare. Mr. Roth, you were driving 68 miles per hour past 20 school children. Do you understand the stopping distance at that speed? Sure, I stopped fine. You stopped 2 blocks after the officer activated his lights. Caprio corrects. That's not fine. That's defiance. He leans forward now, elbows near the bench, voice lower but sharper. Mr. Roth, I want to return to your opening statement. You told this court, and I quote, my dad can buy you. Do you stand by that statement? I mean, Aiden says, smirking slightly, probably could. The attorney is on his feet instantly. Your Honor, my client is young and doesn't understand. Counselor. Caprio cuts in. Your client is 18 years old. He is an adult. He looks directly at Aiden. Mr. Roth, are you stating on the record that your father could purchase this court? Aiden doesn't look away. My dad has dinner with the mayor every month. He funds half the charities in this city. So yeah, if he wanted to make a call, this goes away. Caprio's expression doesn't change. Miss Lewis, he says quietly, read that back from the stenographer's record. The clerk does, word for word, every syllable. When she finishes, silence fills the room. 5 seconds pass. 7, 10, 12. That's how long arrogance stands unchallenged before authority responds. Then Caprio speaks. Mr. Roth, you just told this court that your father's wealth and connections could erase a lawful citation. That is not hyperbole. That is a direct challenge to the integrity of this proceeding. Do you understand that? I understand my dad has more power than you do. Aiden replies. Caprio straightens, the movement deliberate. Here is my finding on the traffic citations, he says. The evidence is clear. It is uncontested. You were speeding at nearly double the limit in an active school zone. You failed to stop promptly. You attempted to intimidate a police officer, and you openly asserted that money and influence place you above the law. He pauses. This court does not exist to accommodate entitlement. It exists to protect the public, especially children who trust adults to slow down when a sign tells them to. Caprio picks up his pen. You've spent 18 months learning that fines can be paid and appearances avoided. Today, you will learn something different. He looks directly at Aiden. Money can resolve debts. It cannot purchase character, and it cannot buy this court. The pen moves, and for the first time, Aiden Roth looks uncertain. The letter reading of 68 miles per hour in a posted 35-mile-per-hour school zone is corroborated by body camera timestamps in the school zone beacon log confirming active status. Approximately 20 children were present at the time of the violation. Judge Caprio's voice is steady as he reads into the record, each finding delivered with precision rather than emotion. The vehicle failed to stop for 2 full blocks after emergency lights and siren were activated. The defendant refused to provide license and registration without legal counsel present, constituting failure to obey a lawful order. He pauses, then looks directly at the young man before him. I find the defendant guilty on all 3 counts. Aiden Roth shifts in his seat, confidence thinning. Base fines total $1,200. Caprio continues. Additionally, I am imposing a 90-day license suspension, effective immediately, and mandatory enrollment in a driver safety course to be completed before eligibility for reinstatement. Caprio sets the paper down. Consequences teach what privilege hides, he says quietly. But we're not finished, Mr. Roth. The room stills. Your statements, both to Officer Rodriguez and to this court, represent something far more serious than traffic violations. He turns slightly, addressing the courtroom as much as the defendant. When you told Officer Rodriguez, "Do you know who pays your salary?" you attempted to intimidate a public servant performing his lawful duty. When you told this court, "My dad can buy you," you attacked the legitimacy of the judicial process itself. Caprio leans forward. Direct contempt of court is defined as conduct occurring in the immediate presence of the court that obstructs the administration of justice. Your statement was made openly, deliberately, and on the record. It was not accidental. It undermines public confidence in the rule of law. He pauses again, longer this time. Here is what concerns me most, Mr. Roth. You didn't merely insult me. You told every person in this courtroom, and every person who will read this transcript, that justice is for sale, that wealth determines outcomes, that the law bends for those who can afford to bend it. Caprio's voice hardens. That is not how this system works. Not in this courtroom. Not on my watch. He straightens. For direct contempt of court, I am sentencing you to 30 days at the adult correctional institutions. You will be eligible for review after 15 days, contingent upon demonstrated reflection and full compliance. He turns toward the aisle. Officer Wilson, take Mr. The bailiff steps forward. Aiden's smirk vanishes instantly. Wait, what? You heard the ruling, Mr. Roth, Caprio says calmly. Officer Wilson, please proceed. The defense attorney is already on his feet. Your Honor, my client didn't mean. Counselor, Caprio interrupts. Your client said exactly what he meant, twice on the record. Officer Wilson. The metallic click of handcuffs echoes through the courtroom, sharp and final. Aiden's face drains of color. You can't do this. My dad will. Your father will do nothing, Caprio replies. This is direct contempt. It is immediate. You will be transported within the hour. The clerk speaks softly. For the record, Your Honor, the time is 1:31 a.m. She notes it down. 31 minutes from call of case to custody. Caprio nods once, then without ceremony. Next case, please. The clerk calls case number 2025 TR 7301, Commonwealth versus Maria Santos. A woman in her 50s approaches the podium, hands trembling slightly as she clutches a worn folder. M. Santos. Caprio says gently, you're cited for an expired registration 3 days overdue. I see you paid the registration fee the day after receiving the citation. Is that correct? Yes, Your Honor, she says quickly. I'm sorry. I worked 2 jobs. I forgot the date. Caprio nods. You took responsibility immediately? Fine reduced to $25. Relief floods her face. Thank you, Your Honor. Thank you for your integrity, Ms. Santos, Caprio replies. She steps her quality in that moment speaks louder than money ever could. Caprio returns to his notes. Before we adjourn, I'm placing the following policy recommendations on the record for municipal court administration and the office of the mayor. He looks up. 1. Establish a weekly ex parte influence log for all cases. The courtroom listens. Because justice once tested had just answered back. Any off-record communication attempts, including those originating from law firms, corporate counsel, or private intermediaries, shall be documented and published. Judge Caprio's voice carries through the courtroom, not raised, not theatrical, but unmistakably final. Transparency is not optional, it is the oxygen of legitimacy. He continues, each recommendation delivered like a brick laid carefully into place. 2nd, establish a confidential clerk hotline for reporting interference attempts. Any effort to pressure, intimidate, or leverage wealth, status, or connection may be reported anonymously. Every report will be investigated. The clerk types steadily. 3rd, conduct a full audit of school zone speed beacons, with results posted on a public dashboard. Enforcement data should be visible, verifiable, and accessible to the public. Caprio pauses briefly, then resumes. Fourth, develop a neutral enforcement script for officers to use when drivers invoke wealth, influence, or connections during traffic stops. Officers deserve clear, professional language that maintains boundaries without escalation. He looks up. And fifth, issue a contempt guidance memorandum clarifying that on record intimidation of the court or its officers will be met with immediate custody, regardless of the defendant's resources or relationships. A beat. If you believe influence should never touch traffic cases, he adds, dryly, subscribe to order in the court. This policy model should circulate within 48 hours. The gavel taps once. The body camera footage becomes public record before sunset. Within 72 hours, short clips flood social media. Headlines follow quickly, local, then national. Teen tells judge, my dad can buy you. Leaves court in handcuffs 30 minutes later. Within a week, Roth Capital Group's legal team files a motion to vacate the contempt finding. The argument is polished, predictable. They frame the statement as First Amendment hyperbole. Youthful indiscretion. No prior criminal record. Letters from charitable organizations attesting to the family's generosity. Affidavits highlighting donations, scholarships, gallus. Judge Caprio responds with a written denial. 2 pages single-spaced. The closing paragraph is direct. The defendant's statement was not hyperbole. It was a calculated assertion that wealth supersedes law. Such statements, made in open court, undermine public confidence in the impartiality and integrity of the judicial system. The contempt finding stands. 15 days later, Aiden Roth appears for his review hearing via video link from the adult correctional institutions. The difference is immediate. He wears a standard issue jumpsuit. His hair is uncombed. His face thinner, sharper, stripped of the casual certainty it once carried. Mr. Roth, Caprio says, studying the screen, you requested this review. The question before me is whether you've demonstrated reflection, and whether continued custody serves a constructive purpose.
What do you want to say?
Aiden looks directly into the camera. Your Honor, he begins, voice steady but subdued. I was wrong. He swallows. I thought money meant power. I thought my father's success meant I didn't have to follow the same rules as everyone else. I was arrogant. I was disrespectful. I endangered children. He pauses. And then I insulted the officer who stopped me and the court that held me accountable. I'm sorry. Caprio watches him carefully. Mr. Roth, he asks, are those your words, or did someone write them for you? They're mine, Your Honor. Aiden answers immediately. I've had 15 days to think about what I said. I'm ashamed. Caprio nods once. Good, he says. Shame is the beginning of change. He leans back slightly. Here is my ruling. Aiden straightens. I am reducing your custody to time served, 15 days. However, I am imposing a restorative accountability plan. You will complete it in full, or the remaining 15 days will be reinstated. He reads deliberately. You will complete 200 hours of community service with the Providence School Safety Program. Specifically, you will serve as a crossing guard assistant in the exact school zone where you were speeding. Aiden's eyes flicker. You will work morning and afternoon shifts, in all weather, assisting children and families as they cross safely. Service in the zone you endangered. Caprio continues. You will write and deliver in-person apologies to Officer Rodriguez and to the principal of Carver Elementary School, not letters drafted by counsel. Your words. Aiden nods. And finally, Caprio says, you will write and record a public service announcement on school zone safety. It will be reviewed for accuracy, not polish. It will be released publicly. He looks directly at the screen. This court does not exist to humiliate. It exists to teach. Caprio's voice softens, but only slightly. You believed influence insulated you from consequence. What you're about to learn is that responsibility is learned closest to the harm it prevents. He pauses. Court is adjourned. The screen goes dark, and somewhere on Elmwood Avenue, a school zone beacon flashes, steady, visible, indifferent to wealth, doing exactly what the law was meant to do. The script will be vetted by this court, Judge Caprio says evenly. No branding, no family references, no reputation laundering. Aiden nods. You will complete a certified driver safety reflection course. Caprio continues, and submit an 800-word written reflection on what you learned. Not public relations language. Real insight. He looks directly at him. Do you accept these terms? Then you are released today. Officer Wilson will process your paperwork. Caprio pauses. Don't make me regret this, Mr. Roth. I won't. Thank you. Over the next 4 months, he completes the plan piece by piece. Week 1, Aiden reports to Elmwood Avenue at 7:45 a.m. The temperature is 34 degrees. He wears a reflective vest and holds a stop sign as children cross the same intersection where he once tore through at 68 miles per hour. Parents pass him without comment. One mother recognizes him from the news. She says nothing, just meets his eyes and walks her daughter across. The silence weighs more than any lecture. Week 3, he delivers his apology to Officer Rodriguez at the police station. He reads it aloud, voice steady but restrained. Rodriguez listens, nods once and says, "Thank you for coming. I hope you mean it." There is no handshake, no absolution, just acknowledgement. Week 5. Aiden meets with the principal of Carver Elementary School. She reads his apology carefully, then looks up. "Our students deserve to feel safe walking to school," she says. "I hope you remember that." He does. Week 8. He records the public service announcement. The first draft mentions his father's charitable work. The court rejects it without comment. He records it again. "I drove 68 miles per hour past children," he says into the camera. "I thought I was above the rules. I wasn't. Speed limits exist for a reason. Follow them." This version is approved. Week 12, he submits his reflection. It is raw, unpolished, free of spin. "I spent 18 years believing money equaled respect," he writes. It doesn't. Respect is earned by how you treat people when no one is watching and how you accept consequences when you're caught. The compliance log is simple. 200 hours completed, 2 apologies delivered, 1 PSA approved, 1 reflection submitted. 4 months after the original hearing, Aiden returns to court for final review. Judge Caprio reviews the file in silence, service logs, apology receipts, the PSA recording, the course certificate, the written reflection. "Mr. Roth," he says, "I've read your reflection. Summarize what you learned." Aiden stands. "I learned that rules aren't obstacles," he says. "They're protections. I learned that my father's money doesn't make me special, it just gave me advantages I never earned. I learned that respect comes from character, not net worth." He pauses. "And I learned that when you tell a judge, 'My dad can buy you,' you're not showing power, you're showing how little you understand about it." Caprio nods. "You stopped borrowing power," he says, "started earning character." He signs the final order. "Your community service is complete. Your license suspension is lifted, contingent upon completion of the driver safety course, which you've done. This matter is closed." He looks up. "Don't come back here, Mr. Roth." "I won't, Your Honor." "Good," Caprio replies, "because next time there won't be a review hearing." 6 months later, Providence adopts the ex parte influence log protocol. The first report lists 11 attempted contacts, each documented, each declined. The clerk hotline receives 19 calls, 6 lead to formal investigations. A citywide school zone beacon audit reveals 12 malfunctioning zones. All are repaired within 60 days. Enforcement data is made public. Speeding citations in school zones drop by 28%. Judge Caprio's contempt guidance memo is distributed statewide. It reads in part, "Wealth is not a credential. Status is not a defense. When a defendant uses money or connection to intimidate the court, custody is not cruelty, it is clarity." On a quiet Friday afternoon, Caprio finishes his last case of the week. Before leaving, he pulls up the docket from that Tuesday morning, the one where Aiden Roth said, "My dad can buy you," and left in handcuffs 31 minutes later. He writes a single note in the margin of his bench book. The bench is not for sale. It never was. It never will be. He thinks of Aiden standing in the cold, holding a stop sign, watching children cross safely. He thinks of the text message that read, "He'll make calls. Don't sweat it." He thinks of 15 days spent learning that consequences are real. Caprio closes the book, turns off the light, and locks the door. Dramatization for storytelling and education, not legal advice or reporting.